When you want to improvise over the chord changes of a song, you must understand that you will be inadvertently very limited and mechanical in your playing if you don't know the chord changes by heart. When you have to look at a sheet of paper to see what chord's coming up and you need to calculate how long to stay on each scale before switching and so on, inspiration and creativity suffer. I mean, it's okay to use the key cycles or even real songs as exercises and look at the chord changes. It's a great way to practice, but it's not the best way to produce inspired music. You see, as you work on a song and learn its harmonic form, at some point you will feel just as comfortable and free as if you were playing a single scale. The key changes become automatic and transparent, and creativity takes over. The first step is to look at the chord changes and determine what scales you want to use. I will do this over a simple dominant blues tune in G, which is a fairly common key in guitar music. Before we get into it, I need to point out something about blues that you may or may not already know. It's possible to play the minor pentatonic or blues scale of the key over a blues tune without following the chord changes, and it will still sound great. It's an example of what we call harmonic simplification. In fact, many wonderful blues players use this almost exclusively. Now, if you look on the surface, you may think that this scale should not sound good, because basically you're playing a minor scale over major chords. But if you look closely, there are harmonic reasons why it works so well. I can't get into them right now, but maybe I'll do a lesson on that in the future. The reason I pointed this out is because for every chord in our blues in G example, we'll have a second scale option, the G minor pentatonic or blues scale. So let's look at the form of a simple blues in G. The first 4 bars are G7, so according to what we've learned, the appropriate scale is G major pentatonic. In addition to that, we have the G minor as a second option. For now, I will choose the G major. Then we have C7 for 2 bars. Our options here are C major pentatonic and again the G minor. I will choose the C major. Then 2 bars of G7 again, so I will return to the G major pentatonic. The last 4 bars of a 12-bar blues are called the turnaround, and in most variations of blues it's the most harmonically busy section. We have 1 chord per bar in this case. So let's say that I'm lazy and I want to take the easy road. In that case, I choose the G minor pentatonic over all of them. So here's my plan. 4 bars of G major, then 2 bars of C major, 2 bars of G major again, and then 4 bars of G minor. This brings us to our second step. We need to memorize this plan. If you're into theory and understand the functions of these chords, there are different ways that you can label these progressions in order to remember them. But let's stick to a simpler approach. If remembering the whole plan is too much, then break it into sections of 4 bars and practice what we'll do now in 4-bar sections. You probably don't need to do that for a blues, but you may need to do it later when we apply this on a more complex tune, so we'll talk more about it in the next lesson. Your job in this step is to put on a backing track and on the first beat of every bar, play the root and say the name of the scale without looking at the song lead sheet. It's important to do this on every bar so that you develop your sense of how the form of the song flows. So keep in mind that the root of the minor pentatonic can sound strange over some chords in the turnaround, but that's just when you sit on the root for a long time, as in this exercise. In the next parts, where you hear the whole scale, you see that it sounds just fine. G major pentatonic, G major pentatonic, G major pentatonic, G major pentatonic, C major pentatonic, C major pentatonic, G major pentatonic, G major pentatonic, G minor pentatonic, G minor pentatonic, G minor pentatonic, G minor pentatonic. Now, I showed you the lead sheets so that you understand what I'm doing, but the point is to do this without looking. So once you can do this by heart, then go on to the next step. The third step is to play the whole scale up and down whenever the scale changes. In songs with quicker chord changes, you can just play a part of it, but here I have time to play the whole thing. I'll do it first ascending and then descending, as always without looking at the lead sheet. The fourth and last step is to use these scales to improvise, again without looking at the chord changes. I will now play you an example in the area we were working on, but then the second time around, the second 12 bars, I will use a different group of scale options according to this second plan here, so that you can check out a different variation. So I will start the same with G major for 4 bars, but then move to G minor for the next 4 bars over both C7 and G7, and then I will use a single scale for each of the chords in the turnaround. So here are both of these examples, and I'll be showing you the lead sheet as I'm playing, but remember that when you practice this, you should not be looking at the chords. I think you're starting to get the point. According to what you want to achieve, you can do this in different fretboard areas with different options and so on. Some players like to choose a couple of areas, maybe one high and one low, and concentrate on those and try to sound as good as possible. Maybe compose a few nice licks to have handy and so on. Others, like me, like to explore every possible option. So I would spend a lot of time on this and thoroughly cover every area and every mathematical possibility. But I'm mainly a teacher and a kind of a guitar nerd that likes to research all the time. You don't have to be like me. There are amazing players out there that know just a small fragment of what I know, but still sound 100 times better because of imagination and feel and talent and all that good stuff. So take what I give you and find ways to use it to accommodate your own personal style and character. But whatever you choose to do, remember that this skill requires some time and patience, so don't give up. I've included the blues in G backing track for you to practice over, but at the end of the course you will have all the information you need to take this and apply it on any song you want. So have fun, and I'll see you in the next lesson where we'll tackle a more involved tune with some different scale requirements.